everyone. This is our regular meeting of the Southfield City Council, June 30th, in council chambers. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Thank you, Council President. Councilwoman Banks.
Present.
Councilman Brightwell is absent with notice. Councilman Cruz, absent. Councilwoman Haynes.
Present.
Council Pro Tem Hicks is absent with notice. Councilwoman Hogue.
Here.
Council President Mandelbaum.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Can everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? All right. First up this evening is our communications portion. The Southfield City Council has established the following rules of procedure for all speakers. No speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official that is unrelated to the manner in which the officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official performs his or her duties. No person shall use abusive or threatening language towards any individual when addressing the city council. Any person who violates this section shall be directed by the presiding officer to be orderly and silent. If a person addressing the council refuses to become silent when so directed, such person may be deemed by the presiding officer to have committed a breach of the peace by disrupting and impeding the orderly conduct of the public meeting of the city council, and may be ordered by the presiding officer to leave the meeting. If the person refuses to leave as directed, the presiding officer may direct any law enforcement officer who is present to escort the violator from the meeting. The city council may not provide responses to public comment during the meeting. If you have provided your contact information when you signed up for public communications, the city will provide a more formal response to you in the near future should it be warranted. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. The city council will answer communications once everyone has had a chance to speak, and we just ask for your patience and respect for each speaker during communications. Our first speaker is Angelin Ashby. All right, our next speaker is Miriam Blanks Smart.
Good evening, Mr. President, Madam Clerk, and esteemed members of the City Council and Mayor Seibert. My name is Miriam Blank Smart. I'm a 34-year resident of the City of Southfield, but I'm here today as a member of the Southfield chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the oldest Greek letter organization founded by African-American college-educated women. I'm here with officers and members of our Southfield chapter, and the next speaker is our president of the organization, Ms. Rhonda Reynolds Williams, and I will yield my time so that she can come up now.
Good evening. I am Rhonda Reynolds Williams, the president of the Southfield chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Pi Tau Omega chapter. It is our pleasure to be here today. We have over 300 members in our chapter, many of them who are here today, and our presence is here because we want to learn more about the matters that are at hand. We want to learn more about how legislation is processed, what are the procedures, and how decisions are made. We are grateful to be here to listen, to observe, and to learn, and to take this information back to our communities to empower them. So thank you so much for this time.
Thank you. All right, our next speaker is Linda Wright Boss.
Hello, I'm very new to this process. Thank you all for allowing me to speak. I am here actually on behalf of myself. I'm a new member, new to the city of Southfield, and I live in a condominium. And I recently, going over my taxes with my tax man, discovered I'm paying a tremendous amount of taxes, and I don't seem to see what city services I'm getting. I don't know if City of Southfield operates differently, but I was just curious to know where I might be able to find out, you know, like Detroit, city services include tree cutting, garbage picking up, street cleaning, tree cutting, if you needed sidewalk repair. I don't know if it's because I live in a condominium, and if so, I would like to respectively suggest that that's really not fair, because I pay taxes too. So that's really what my quest is for tonight, to find out if I can be directed or if somebody can email me, because I did leave my address, to tell me where I might find out where this injustice could be ratified, because there are a number of condominium owners in the city of Southfield, and I'm sure they would like to know that their taxes are not being, they have no city services, and I really did think that's what taxes were for. So respectfully, I hope that I would get an answer to that, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I did have one other thing. It had recently come to my attention that, oh, I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry, this is what senior citizens will do for you. I'll get it the next time. It went right out my head.
Yeah. All right, our next speaker is Stacy Jackson.
Good evening, Stacy Jackson, Southfield resident and president of Beechwood Acres Homeowners Association. I was actually here tonight to ask for a little follow-up on some questions that I asked several weeks ago. One was pertaining to the swimming pool getting additional days during the early mornings, where we're borrowing time at Oak Park. Just wanted to know where we were with that. The other is our community, and one of our city council members actually lives in our community, that's aware of Airbnbs that's been in our area. So we've been successful in shutting down one on Rougemont. However, there is now one on Rougewood that is astronomically a community nuisance. So I wanted to ask, where is the city in its dealings with Airbnbs, and how do we protect our seniors in this environment? Third, I would like to know, what are we doing about tenants? I did notice that the first speaker who did not speak, their issues were pertaining to tenants' protection. I don't know that person, but I do know that last year I came here with a number of individuals that are renters in the city, concerned not only about high rents, but concerned about subpar living conditions and poor treatment in these environments. Where are we in providing protection for our renters and also our seniors who are being taken advantage of by slumlords, basically, in our city? I do recall maybe a month ago that there was an issue with backflow water inverters of some sort, where nearly 17,000 folks that live in multifamily homes were scheduled to receive shutoff notices for water. I would like an update on that as well. It would be helpful if some of these things were addressed publicly, and if we can have council members come out to our communities to share this information that you perhaps have where residents can't come out. So again, following up with those community services relative to swimming pool access, not just 2 nights per month, following up with tenant issues, Airbnbs, and also in regards to the lady about the taxes. Taxes are high everywhere in Southfield, and we really don't have, we fall short with those community amenities. So that would be nice to be addressed tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sean Parks.
Good evening. I actually wrote some things down, but I was in a rush to get here, so I didn't get a chance to go home and pick it up. I have two concerns, one being the swimming pool in the city. I understand that the pool was shut down because it was in need of repairs, which cost somewhere in the realm of, I believe it was 2.5 million when I did my research. And I moved here because in my mind, or I thought or was told, this was like a city of black excellence. And as far as black people go, there's a huge disparity in the ability to swim as opposed to whites. It's like there's like 65% of blacks that do not know how to swim. And I think that closing our pool was a big, big deal. I used to send my daughter there and for the summer camps and all that stuff. So it's been closed now for approaching 3 years. And I want to know if there is some type of plan to fix this or make a new one or what's going on with that. It's kind of it's always been a big deal to me because I was unfortunate enough to go to a high school that I didn't learn to swim, and statistically, if your parents don't know how to swim, there's an 84% chance that you won't know how to swim. And there's a huge disparity in drownings for black people as opposed to whites. My second issue was the street performers on 10 Mile and Southfield. What's the stance on that? Is that okay, or are we waiting for one of those little kids to run down the street and get hit and then we do something about it, or are we just standing by and watching it? I've seen it on Instagram and the news and, oh, wow, this is great, and I don't think so. I think I spend too much money for my home to get to the corner and see people outside practically pretty much begging for money like I'm on Harper and Cashew somewhere where I came from. It's unacceptable to me, but y'all might like it, I don't know. And those are my two issues. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Keith Harris.
Keith Harris, I feel underdressed with all these beautiful women in here. But I'm here today for the same complaint I made last time. I'm worried about Toby Rhodes. I'm worried about being black in Oakland County. I'm worried about being black in Southfield. You know, I came to a town hall meeting a few weeks ago with Ms. Holt and Lenny Taylor and Rashida Tlaib. And our Jewish brothers and sisters was escorted in by the police. We have never been allowed to protest in a building just being black. But and it's not the fact that they protest. It was the statements that they made. We making statements that the only reason we voted for Rashida because we was uneducated. We were illiterate. We were, just all kind of just unnecessary. And they used the word those people over and over. Now, when you read this police report that Toby has, these Jews set him up, and he's facing 7 years in prison for being in front of his home. And the police report says, the Jews say, those people, chasing us down the street with chainsaws. Now, how many black men in this city have you ever seen, in this state, chase somebody white with a chainsaw? We're asking for this video to be shown on the news. If Karen McDonald can make a nationwide statement, threaten this young man's freedom, I'm asking for the video to be shown. I have the video, I have the police report, and we will be showing this video. I've already sent it to other states, and now we're going to show the video to everybody. We want people to see the facts, hear what these guys are saying, and this was a complete setup for a man that was doing no more than working out in front of his house. No more than working out in front of his house. It's time out. Black people have the right to own homes, wherever. We kick the door down, working hard. I know my dad worked for the plant 40 years. He could afford any place he wanted to live. And we don't have to sell our homes back to the Jews or make them or take an underbid. I'm standing up. I'm never going to stand down, and I'm going to make you work for us. I'm not going to ask you. I am asking that Karen McDonald go live with the videotape, and I'm saying to anybody who want a copy of this videotape, I will show it to you. I will give you a copy of the police report. Look at it for yourself.
Our next speaker is Greg Keeler.
Greg Keeler, Southfield residents. I came to you back in February about code enforcement hitting me with paint my shed. The problem I had with this is when I went to court and I seen the pictures, they had to be trespassing on Lawrence Tech property in order to see my shed because you can't see it from the front of my house. It's too far, too deep. When I was at court, I asked them, I said, if you're standing on a pile of wood that has rats, roaches, everything else in it, and you can see the signs of the termites, bed bugs, and everything else growing on it. And I showed the picture to the Oakland County Health Director, who also agreed with me. When I asked code enforcement, well, you don't say something about Lawrence Tech, first thing he did was smile and look at me like, are you going to file a complaint? No, I'm not going to file a complaint. Do your job. If you don't write me up, write them up. But you ain't going to start no war between me and Lawrence Tech. Kevin Flynn is sitting in the back. Me and him have been friends, I would say, for about 12 years. Because when it first started with the dormitory being on our street and we had the argument, one of the things Kevin said was, why are you fighting so hard? And one day he went and got on my deck and stood there, and he understood the peace and the quiet sitting there. Since then, me and him have always conversated, always talked about things that were going on. There's never been no battle. We don't need code enforcement coming over here starting any strife. Now, but because they came over there, my property tax got lowered. Why? Because of all the property of Lawrence Tech that wasn't looking in shape to what the code enforcement person said. Now, I've gotten every neighbor in my community property tax dropped once. I believe it was done again this year for the second time. We don't go back a third time because there should not be their yard waste backed up to my house, lowering my property value. My next door neighbor had to put up a privacy fence so he couldn't see all the waste and trash from there. So this is a problem. They should be doing their job. They shouldn't just be looking at us. And I do not wish for them to go after Lawrence Tech either. But if they don't do their job, do it completely. Don't walk over there and laugh at me and think I'm going to take this code enforcement violation simply. Do your job. You got to take some fleas. Deer season just came up. That's what the meeting was about with Oakland County, with the health director. And they seen the animals and everything else. And I showed them pictures
Your time is
to
up.
also people for assessment, which agreed with me that that was a violation.
Our next speaker is Pamela Gerald.
I want to give a shout out to the ladies in pink and green in the auditorium, the AKAs. You look marvelous. Extraordinary statements require extraordinary proof. You can always tell when we're in campaign season, when people that are running for office come up to the people's lectern and they use it to campaign. I am so sick and tired of those candidates that use these buzzwords or buzz phrases. Protect our seniors, poor treatment of renters, backflow water, tenants, Airbnb. I lived in an apartment from 1982 until 2013 when I got my first house. And I'm going to tell you what I've seen. And I lived in the same apartment. You have people that don't know how to live in an apartment. They put trash in the hallway. They are too lazy to throw it in the dumpster that's provided. They try to do it from their car. When the bag bursts on the ground, they don't pick it up. They play their music loud. And it's an art to living in an apartment, and everybody can't do it. So if you don't like living in an apartment where you have to be concerned about 23 other residents in the building, then you should have a house. What does it mean about protecting our seniors? We do a lot in this city through Parks and Recreation for our seniors. We have a lot of senior activities. I'm a senior now, and I go to a lot of the events. We are not in charge of septic tanks or backflow systems. That's county regulated. And I just wish that we would get someone from the county that would speak to these issues so we can set the record straight. Toby Rhodes. I've known Toby Rhodes for all the years that he's lived in Southfield. I knew his mother. Every single election, I don't know what's wrong with Toby, but he does the things that he does. The sidewalk is public property. If you sit on a sidewalk in a chair and you impede people from walking by, that is harassment, according to MCL 750.411I. That's Michigan compiled law. That's what MCL means. We have got to stop this race baiting. We have got to stop prevaricating at this lectern and tell the truth. So if you're concerned about our seniors and our people here, tell the truth and run on your issues and not try to invoke fear in our voters.
Thank you. That concludes our communications for this evening. I will try to address some of the questions that were raised. I will start with thanking the AKAs for coming out. We always appreciate when residents come out, when groups, organizations come out to watch our process, see how things are done in City Hall. You're welcome back every meeting. So thank you for being here. We had a speaker who spoke about city taxes, and the breakdown of city taxes can be found on the city's website. I have your email here. We can send you links. The tax booklet is quite large. We have a PowerPoint that is concise, and it shows exactly what city services taxes go to. A number of services and things like that. One of the major complaints that we always receive about taxes is Southfield taxes are too high. One of my hobbies when I'm bored at 3 o'clock in the morning is I look at other tax rates throughout Oakland County. Southfield taxes are not high compared to other communities. And when I'm talking about Southfield taxes, I'm talking about the city taxes. When you receive your tax bill has the city of Southfield, it has public schools, Oakland County schools, Oakland County general services, and a number of other taxes. The city council approved our budget that starts tomorrow, July 1st, and we had to raise taxes by 0.19 mils, which is very, very small, compared to last year where we lowered our taxes by 0.25 mils. So that even though we lowered taxes very minimal last year, when we raised them this year, we still have not gone back to where we were 3 years ago because we do try to manage the budget very carefully. But a breakdown of tax, and I wish I could control these screens, it would be very helpful. But for every dollar that a resident pays in taxes, essentially with the percentages that it comes out to is 36 cents of every dollar goes to the city of Southfield. 56 cents goes to Southfield schools, Oakland County schools, and the state schools. And then 8 cents goes to the county. So again, I want to reiterate that for every dollar in taxes that a resident pays, 26.8 mils, or 36 cents of every dollar, goes to the city of Southfield. So Southfield does try our best to keep our taxes low, but there's other factors in there as well. Again, we have your email. We will send you a list to our budget information where you can receive other information about city services. There was a question about our pool. So I will also say in the budget that we approved this month, it's been a long month, the city did earmark just over $22 million for a new indoor aquatic center. That has already gone out for bid to qualified companies to do architecture and build. We hope to have some information within a month, and then the council will be meeting on it in 2 months to try to finalize plans and move forward. So again, we are moving forward with the pool, indoor, year-round pool, that once we have the plan and the build, we'll have a better timeline of when that will be open to residents. And again, we're doing that as a enclosed year-round pool, so it's not just open for the 8 to 10 weeks in the summer when Michigan weather is the best for pools. Pool times. Southfield has an agreement with Oak Park that any Southfield resident can go to the Oak Park pool at any time and get the Oak Park resident rate at any time. And that includes all the classes that they offer and everything else. Southfield does have select Saturday and Sunday hours in the evening where they are free for Southfield residents. You have to look at the Southfield website for Parks and Rec. Those dates and times are listed there. Southfield essentially booked every available rental opportunity at the Oak Park pool to have our Southfield days. That's when there is no cost for Southfield residents, but at any time, a Southfield resident can go to the Oak Park pool and get a resident rate, and that includes the classes. We are exploring other opportunities in other cities as well. We just don't have any information yet. Airbnbs. City does have an ordinance on Airbnbs. We actually updated that ordinance, I believe, last year. That includes Airbnbs, short-term rentals, things like that. If you do have a concern about a home that may be an Airbnb, I advise you to reach out to our building department. You can reach our building official, Mr. Charles Woodward, at 248-796-4117. He's also sitting in the front. If you could raise your hand again, sir. And him and his team will investigate those potential Airbnbs and make them follow the proper rules. The city does have rules as part of that Airbnb. It's also the renter's ordinance. If you have a rental home in Southfield, it has to be inspected by the city every 3 years at a minimum. If there's a tenant complaint, then the tenant will contact the building department and they will do an inspection and make sure that the home is safe and follows all building code rules. And again, you could reach out to the building department for that. I do know that tenant issues was addressed with our neighborhood services and legislative committees last year, as with our city attorney. And I don't know if anyone can speak to that specifically, but as of now, there was no action taken from the city level on tenant rights. Most of it is a lot of it is a state issue and this not a city issue. We also, a resident mentioned the street performer at 10 Mile in Southfield. Everyone that's sitting up here can tell you that we are not happy with it. Unfortunately, it has been looked into many times by our city attorney, by our police chief, and there is, unless they are impeding traffic, there is nothing that we can do. Code enforcement has, I know at least on one occasion, taken the signs that the street performer has installed in the right-of-way, as well as the music box or the speaker that he uses because it was left unattended. But other than that, unless he is harassing drivers or pedestrians or impeding traffic, there's not much the city can do. Believe me, we have tried. Our police chief has even tried several times to ask the Oakland County prosecutor for help, and they have also refused to take up that issue. So again, unless he's impeding traffic, which again, even if he's in the street performing and if cars start coming by, as long as he doesn't stop them, it's an unfortunate situation. We can't do anything. Again, we've tried. There was a comment made about code enforcement with an individual property. I don't have enough detail. I do know that that individual is currently going through the Southfield court system fighting the ticket for the painted shed. Other than that, I can't give any additional information. There was also some comments made about a resident who was arrested for harassing his neighbors who happened to be Jewish. There was Oakland County prosecutor did have a press conference on that, but that is out of the city council's hands. The police arrested the individual. They don't arrest individuals just on a he said, she said. There has to be some type of evidence. And that person is now going through the court system, so I will not comment any further on that information. There were also comments made about a town hall with that our Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib had. That was a private event that had nothing to do with the city. So again, I will not comment on anything that was said there or that was done. I was in attendance. I did not hear those types of comments, but I did not hear all the comments made in the entire room. I think I've addressed all the comments. Does council or the mayor have anything to add? Yes, Mr. Mayor.
The only thing that I really want to stress is that on the pool, we took our time deciding how to finance this as we were investigating what the new facility should look like. And we really came to after the council subcommittee toured facilities, then it was a matter of trying to get our hands around what it would cost. And it doesn't, we could have replaced the pool a long time ago if we had simply just put in another pool in the ground. But the cost of operating a municipal pool is quite extensive, and especially when you consider it was open 10 weeks in the summer. And so we are going with a year-round pool with some amenities to it, and that is why it has taken longer for us to accomplish this. But we are now on a path to replace the pool. We'll have an architect in place by, I believe, August 1st. We heard the community. And I would just add about the street performer, I just pray that nothing ever happens to him or some of the individuals that he has out on the street. I think it's very dangerous, but the courts have ruled that people can panhandle as long as they're not aggressive on public property. When he stands on the edge of the road, he's on the right-of-way, he's on public property. When he's in the street, he's on public property. We don't like it. We don't like the look of it. And apparently, people have not heeded our advice, which is do not feed the need. Do not make donations to him. I think if people practice that, he'd soon find another corner rather than at Southfield and 10 Mile.
You have a quick comment?
I just wanted to add to what he just said about the street performer. He was glorified in the news, and that was part of the thing to make him look like he was a celebrated person in our community. But if we all, the mayor just said, do not give him money or do not glorify him, then he will not be there long. I have researched it and looked into it, and he has apparently more rights than we do to shut him down. And I'm very disappointed because when I saw him, there was an 8-year-old child there, and I was very disappointed to see that child in the street. So, like you said, if you don't feed into it, I think hopefully it will go away, but we just can't celebrate and glorify this man.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we will continue on with the rest of our meeting. We have 4 sets of minutes to approve.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve the Committee of the Whole minutes for March 18th, 2024, regular meeting minutes for March 25th, 2024, April 1st, 2024, and April 15th, 2024.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilman Hoag, supported by Councilman Haynes, to approve the minutes from March 18th, March 25th, April 1st, and April 15th of 2024. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have our consent agenda. The consent agenda items are considered routine, non-controversial, or have previously been discussed. Council, do you have any items you wish pulled for further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that we approve consent agenda item A for the National Garage Sale Day. B, receipt of proposals for document management services. C, authorization to initiate phase 2 of the enterprise management software. D, the Detroit Police Department Gang Intelligence Task Force. And E, appointment of a representative and alternate to the SACWA, Southeastern Oakland County Water Authority.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilwoman Baines, to approve consent agenda items A through E. Are there any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And I just want to point out the first item that we approved, the National Garage Day Sale, that will take place this year from Monday, August 4th through Sunday, August 10th. The city will be waiving all garage sale registration requirements and fees. So it will be a citywide garage sale again from Monday, August 4th through Sunday, August 10th, in honor of National Garage Sale Day, which is that Saturday in between August 9th. And we will be publicizing more information on the city's website. So, thank you. Next, we have items to be discussed and or take action on. And our first item is the LTU and City of Southfield all-turf softball baseball field collaboration.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask Kevin Finn from Lawrence Tech to come to the lectern. Terry Croad has a PowerPoint. And let me, few remarks. On July 10th, 2023, City Council authorized an amount of $1,550,000 for capital improvement to add a all-turf softball, baseball at the ball field right just to the east of the ice arena. And we have finished the design, working on that facility, and this evening I'm asking City Council to commit another $500,000 to the project for a total of $2,050,000. This will leverage $450,000 that LTU has, and also, as approved on July 10, 23, authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute an agreement memorializing this arrangement, subject to review by the city attorney. Kevin, Mr. Finn is here, and Planner Croad has a PowerPoint.
Hi, Kevin Finn. It's good to see you all again from Lawrence Tech, and I'll walk you through our drawings and the complex. I just drove by it on the way here today, and I look forward to seeing this happen. So that's the existing field, if you're not familiar with it, on the Southfield campus, where there are recreational softball games played now. I'm not sure about baseball, but I think it's mostly softball that is there. And then we are looking, so Lawrence Tech, let me just take a step back. A few years ago, we received a donation from someone who really loved our coach, and our coach's father had made a difference in this individual's life, and he knew that our softball team literally plays all of their games and practices outside of the city of Southfield. So we're running facilities, sometimes in Farmington Hills, sometimes in over at Detroit Country Day and stuff. We don't have a home field. We haven't for the last, I think we've been playing softball now 10 years. So when we received this donation, the problem for us is we don't really have a spot on our property, and we were looking for that, couldn't find it. And then we looked and said, maybe we could do a partnership with the city of Southfield, because myself, I played on this field. I played in recreational leagues in Southfield, had a good time there, but it's not in the best shape and to allow us to do other things with it. So what we had proposed was turning this into a field that could, women's fast pitch softball could be played there. Also, both co-ed and adult men and women's recreational softball, as well as baseball. And the improvements that would essentially happen would be a portion of the field would need to become turf, and that was essentially the outfield. The biggest issue in college softball is drainage, because their season, believe it or not, begins in February. We won't be playing there in February unless we get an odd winter here. But come March, it's like March 17th when they return from spring break, they are playing out there if it's 38 degrees and a little bit rainy, so you need fields that drain. But we also thought what that would do, and a partnership could build, it would give the city of Southfield a field that's more durable as well, that they could rent to people, and it could be used for other things. It could be used for like flag football on the weekends in the fall time. We have an ideal softball season for you as well, something that sometimes people don't realize. Our season will begin in March, and it will be done by like the first week in May. If they're doing really well that year, they'll go to nationals, and nationals, generally speaking, there is a huge bias to play those games in the South where it's a little bit warmer for all the schools in our national organization. They don't like to come to Michigan, and we wish they would, because we'd have some home field advantage. That also being said, though, building on that, in the fall time, the practices are from like the start of school, beginning at the end of August, and wraps up by the end of October. But they practice usually 8 in the morning to about 10, 11 in the morning, because they do classes the rest of the day. So in terms of the city being able to use it and rent it to let their residents use it and rent it to outside groups, it would have a very open period. So I think the addition of the turf, what it really does is it allows this to be reconfigured. Now you see a softball fence there as well for women's fast pitch softball. It's not as large as you would have for adult recreational softball. That's a portable fence too, so it can be taken down and all that becomes a playable space. Other things that need to be done, bullpens, just like the Tigers, our pitchers need to warm up. Fast pitch, you just can't go out there and start whipping the arm around like that unless you're looking for an injury. So those aren't there right now. We need to add those. And then just kind of spiff up the dugouts and also the seating for people could watch it. So here's what we have as a proposed amenities, and this is where I regret I did not wear my glasses. But you see it includes a new backstop and netting system, because obviously the balls are going to be flying around back there. Relocation of the scoreboard or new inning by inning scoreboard. That's a decision we're going to make later. We're going to look to see how the budget's working out. I also believe I can get a sponsor or a donor to help us out with that. A 2-ton batting cage system so that the teams can warm up. Removable fencing, permanent fencing to the outer limits of so when they're playing a recreational softball, the permanent fence does need some fixing, and then some repairs to the existing bleachers and press box. The other thing is branding signage. We want people to know Lawrence Tech plays, but what you also want people to know, it's they're in the heart of Southfield, and that's something we're proud to be a part of. So like the dugouts, we would add branding that would say, have people know that they're in Southfield for the games. When they walk into the dugouts, you see them, you'd see Lawrence Tech colors in one, and then on the other one, on the outside of Lawrence Tech. So basically, one dugout would be devoted to branding Southfield, the other one would be for branding Lawrence Tech in the system. Looks great, in my opinion. This past weekend, just to give you an idea, when this project is completed, I think we'll be really proud when we compare it to other universities in the area as well. I stopped by and looked at UAD's, or University of Detroit's. That's a Division I softball field. Oak University, also Division I NCAA. This will be a nicer facility than both of those. You see how we can even do some branding in the back with the city of Southfield and Lawrence Tech. And then, as always, the big part, how much is this going to cost to get done? We're looking at probably around 2.8 right now, but we know we can bring some of this down. We're looking at alternate bidding, so our bidders can have may have a different solution than what we are thinking of. And there are portions of it that we know we can say, hey, that doesn't have to be the priority right now, if necessary. But this would get us where if we could start construction this sometime late this summer, early into the fall, where for next year we would know that there's actual games going on here. And I think, I think of today there was some really kind of some sad news that, my team learned, and that is Siena Heights University. It's one of the teams we play against. They have incredible softball facilities. They're closing down at the end of the year as a university. So that being said, though, what it means for us is we've already lost two of our competitors locally, Concordia and Siena Heights. Competitions are got to take other places. We can bring that action here to Southfield. And those tournaments, they're here all weekend. And I'm sure you're like me. You've had either a grandchild or a child that you've been to competitions with. You spend a lot at the Starbucks and all the different amenities and the restaurants when you're in there, hotels and stuff. So when our teams come into town, they're often here for a weekend, and that will also, be a good return back to the city of Southfield. Timeline. Ideally, this is when we were looking at maybe beginning this spring. That's not going to happen, but it still gives you an idea of kind of the flow. Where we'll have to go back right now, and if I need to be corrected, Adam's here from Frank Rewald, our construction manager on this. We had to rebid it. Just, as you know, we did bidding this time last year. A lot has changed in terms of construction costs and materials over the last year, so we'll have to rebid it. We still think we'll be within range, but there will be some changes. Obviously, we need a city council approval. And then from there, we hope to get going somewhere at this fall. We'd like to do a ceremonial groundbreaking on September 19th, which my understanding is a celebration of both Lawrence Tech and City of Southfield's partnership together. So we thought that would be a really great day to do it. And then it's sometime between April 15th and June 1 of 2026, finishing the project. And then, obviously, people start playing on it. I guess the questions and answers.
Councilman Hogue?
Yes, I'm not sure who can answer this. I see Terry is in the back. So this is for an additional $500,000?
Correct.
What will this be going towards specifically? Because this is the first, in 2023, we approved $1.5 million.
Right.
And now you want another $500,000. This is the first I'm seeing of it. And to not know what it's going to be for specifically.
I think it's still the same design. It's just the cost of materials have went up greatly since then. That's our biggest issue. So the longer we take, no matter what, we're going to see things like artificial turf. It just continues to skyrocket. And so where we're at now is we need to get this secured because we can keep the costs contained. But the longer we wait, we're seeing things like this continue to escalate.
Do we have that data to show that specifically the
I
turf is taking us, not just it specifically, but another $500,000?
We could get that data to you, yes. I'm not prepared for it tonight to give it to you, but we could get that to the council.
And then you made a comment about, well, first let me ask this. So Lawrence Tech is gonna do the upkeep of it. Mm-hmm. What about the costs associated with the upkeep? Whose responsibility is that?
In our donors thing, he gave us a maintenance fund each year that could be used with that. I think the one thing I can't predict is if we had ever had a huge maintenance cost that we couldn't predict, let's say like a storm damage that was much bigger, a light tower fountain, right? That would be much different. But we feel the normal upkeep of a softball field like that, we have the money put in our budget for that, yes.
Do we have that documented anywhere?
We made that in the agreement a long time ago, I do know that, and that is something we've committed to as Lawrence Tech. With anywhere we're playing right now, even though it's rentals, we're doing a lot of upkeep in all those places. So we're used to that, that's budgeted, and we realize that would be something we'd have to take on.
And you mentioned renting out the field for I don't know if you said flag football or whatever. Right. Who would get those proceeds? Do we split them? Is it just to you?
That's to you.
That's who?
That's to the city of Southfield. That's
to the city of Southfield. Okay. I don't have any.
Councilman Banks?
Thank you. Is the turf for this field the same as the Miracle League turf?
That's a great question. Let me ask Adam, do you know if it's the same turf? I'm unaware of that. Yeah, I'm not sure who the manufacturer was for that.
So the turf for the Miracle Field is more of a rubberized turf, because it's wheelchair accessible. This is softball.
Right, it's gonna be a little harder than
it
that field
has the feel and look of grass.
Thank you.
They want those balls to travel quick into the outfield before we get more hits.
They travel pretty fast on the Miracle League field also.
I've seen
so
it, you're correct.
I was just wondering, it's a unique field, the turf is. Also, the branding, and I don't know if this goes to our city planner. I see two different versions in the proposals that were presented to us, and I like to see only two names, not three separate names, or two here and two different ones over there. I find it confusing. So what are the two names that is being proposed?
Well, all I'll say is I believe those are just conceptual.
Yeah.
And it'll be this, whatever the city's logo brand is, as well as LTU. I think the third one that was in there included Parks and Recreation logo. But all of those are yet to be determined and fleshed out.
Okay, well, just for the record, Parks and Recreation is part of the city of Southfield.
Right.
And if we do the city of Southfield and Lawrence Tech, I don't have a problem with that. But you have the city of Southfield, Lawrence Tech, and Parks and Recreation. I think it's a little too much. It's not attractive and it's overkill. And again, Parks and Rec is part of the city of Southfield.
Again, I think that was just conceptual as far as showing a presentation. Nothing's been finalized, but we hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. That's all.
Anything?
Yeah, I do. Yes, you said there was an increase. With the increase in those prices, what's the guarantee that they won't go up again, or?
We feel very confident if we were to get approval that we can lock this in. I would also tell you this, that on our end, we need to make this happen. We're spending a lot of money on our team, having them travel, so we're committed to getting it done. One of the main things that does to our young ladies on that team is they're more likely to transfer. You know, if you watch the news right now, you know that college athletics is changing greatly in front of us right now in terms of pay to athletes at some levels, but for us, it really is about providing a really good environment for them to play in. And so for us, we're committed to getting this done now because it really does hurt our retention of the team. And our competitors point that out. You know, we move so much in the education proposition that we can offer a student athlete. We feel very proud of that at Lawrence Tech. On the flip side, though, they are going to say, "Hey, you know what? You're going to play on our campus. You're going to walk to practice versus getting in your car, driving an hour away." So those are things for us that are extremely important, and it will be a benefactor to us with our student retention.
So you said you're going to lock those prices in?
That our goal is to get the bidding going right away, where we feel very confident in what's been in the proposal, and to get those secured and locked, yes.
So we could get them locked in before, when we first got the first amount?
We just need to know that we have approval to go forward, and then we can get those locked in, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Did we get this resolved with the pipeline as far as the dugouts?
Yeah, I think on that one, a little bit more about the pipeline than I did. So I do apologize. I'm filling in for our campus architect tonight. He's taking a final exam, so he would have that answer. But my understanding is we don't feel it's going to interfere at this point with the assessment that's done. But things like that, once the construction begins, we don't think it's going to be, we don't see it as an obstacle. We should be okay.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, that's my understanding, that it was resolved as well in the same fashion that we got the promenade built over the pipeline.
Okay.
The real issue for the pipeline folks is where tree roots growing into it. Things on top of it, stable, there's your comfort level.
I do apologize. I knew someone may have a more technical answer than I could provide, so I wanted to first see that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Regarding the pipeline, I'd like to suggest that we get a map of the areas where it is prohibited to do any building. When they came before council, one was presented, and I think it should be part of the planning, in the planning department's department, and also administration.
If you will recall, when we did the Middle Point Transformational Brownfield Plan, when we were looking at the survey here, we had all of that surveyed and marked out. We do have records. I'll make sure that a copy of that is in the planning department. I know it is in our GIS department.
Okay, because I know there was quite an area back there
Yes.
that we could not develop on.
There's still this stretch of pipeline that goes through the nature preserve area.
Correct.
And they've indicated eventually they'd like to come and clear out those trees in that 50-foot section as well.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions? I would just agree with one of the statements Councilman Banks made with the branding. I know they were just to show us what they would look like, but sometimes it's too much.
I can understand that.
Any other questions, Council? All right. I will entertain a motion.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that we concur with the formation of the Lawrence Tech City of Southfield All-Turf Softball Baseball Field Collaboration and authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign the LTU City of Southfield All-Turf Softball Baseball Field Collaboration Agreement, subject to review by the city attorney, with projected cost estimates at $2.5 million, with LTU committing to $450,000 and the rest by the city.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilman Hoag, supported by Councilman Banks, to approve the LTU and City of Southfield All-Turf Softball Baseball Field Collaboration Budget Increase Request as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Look forward to seeing play ball eventually.
All right. All right, next is a presentation and discussion and action regarding a proposed lot split at 24600 West 11 Mile Road.
Thank you. So, good evening. This is a request for a lot split and easement with approval. Petitioners Nowak and Fraus on behalf of BASF. Property is located at 24600 West 11 Mile Road. Existing zoning is Education Research Office. And the request is to split existing parcel with 3 buildings into 3 parcels with 1 building on each. Reciprocal easements for utilities, access, and parking to be recorded. The proposed access easement is 25 feet wide. If it's less than 60 feet, it's subject to council's approval. Existing site is shown there with zoning and future land use. This is the entrance to 11 Mile. Here's an existing site survey and proposed parcel lines with the additional infrastructure easement that have been granted, and the proposed 25-foot access easement to allow access from 11 Mile to the 2 rear or northern parcels. With that, we have representatives from Nowak and Fraus as well as BASF, and I'd like to invite them to come up to the podium to give a little bit of background and to answer any questions that council may have.
If you could just
give your name and title, please.
If you just give your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. My name's Renee Rashid Maram. My address is 201 Wood Creek Court, Commerce Township.
And I'm Brett Buholtz with Nowak and Fraus Engineers at 46777 Woodward Avenue, Pontiac, Michigan.
Okay. Do you have anything additional to add from Mr. Crode?
Okay. So we're proposing the reduced width 25-foot easement for this proposed parcel split, and just kind of based on the configuration of the land and the 3 new parcels, and really there's sort of a dead end there. You got 696 on the north end, you have 11 Mile on the south end there, which is the access to the property there. And really this is showing the 3 buildings that are owned by BASF. The south side of 11 Mile is the larger BASF property, which is not being impacted here in terms of the proposed split here. And I guess, I can have Renee speak to, on BASF's behalf. I'm here to answer any questions that you might have technical.
I would like to add that the fire department engineering have signed off on the 25-foot easement. Renee, if you wouldn't mind just giving a little background on BASF and why they're doing this.
Sure. So one thing I wanted to add, while I'm relatively new to BASF, I'm not new to Southfield. I was actually raised in Southfield, so I'm glad to be back here, so thank you. I think it's important to note there are 4 different entities or 4 different buildings that make up the overall campus. They are owned by they are owned or they were acquired by BASF corporate. Since then, the buildings have evolved relative to the purposes of those buildings. So the first building to the north is actually our ED building. That is the smallest of the buildings, and that has recently been sold. We did not have a lot of activity in the building. We are in the middle of a process of closing that deal, but the intent is that it will continue as for commercial purposes and actually have more residents in it or more people in it. The second building down from the north is our Catalyst building that is owned by or operated by our Catalyst Metals group. And then the third building down that you see along 11 Mile is actually the Pace building. And the good news about the Pace building is we have recently moved people from Wyandotte. Actually, the first wave of people we've moved from Wyandotte to that building. So we're actually working to build capacity in all 3 of these buildings. Then if you look at across the street, as we mentioned, the main campus building, that building actually has almost 500 people administratively assigned to it. So there was a question of how active the buildings are, and I would tell you that at this juncture, we are working to build capacity in all of them. Across the 4 buildings, we've invested more than $25 million into those buildings since 2015. And this year, we've approved $500,000 for a new roof for the main building. So I think that outlines our overarching or continued commitment to those buildings. While they may have different purposes than original, they're evolving, but we are still committed to all of them. I can answer any questions you might have.
Council, do you have any questions? I have one, Mr. Crode. So I'm assuming that the outline, I don't know what color it is, the brightest blue or
The teal.
the teal is the property line for all 3 buildings?
Yes.
So the proposed parcel lines, you have that red dotted.
Right, that would separate the triangle piece to the north and then that middle piece.
Okay.
So
what?
If I could.
Yeah.
So when we look at lot splits, there's 4 things we look at. Does it have access to main public road or right-of-way? Does it meet the minimum standards of the zoning district that's located in? Can it meet the dimensional requirements? And there's one other, there's a depth to width ratio. They meet all those with the exception they're not on a right-of-way, but does allow, if there's an easement granted, those parcels can comply with those lot split requirements. And we like to have 60 feet right-of-way in case there's any future public road, but we do allow exceptions, and the exceptions are that council can approve less than 60 feet and the department sign off. So the fire department and engineering has signed off. The assessor doesn't have a problem. We don't have a problem with the zoning. So those are the tests for the lot split. I don't know if that answers all your questions.
So it does, but then the other question that I have is that area between their parcel and M10, who's responsible for that land?
Well,
is that M10?
M10 is MDOT.
That is MDOT?
Yeah, so I would imagine that's the MDOT right away for the freeway.
Okay. Just curious, because a lot of times we get, not a lot, but sometimes we get complaints from residents when there's unknown owners of land and there's weeds and trees, and I just want to make sure we know who's responsible to take care of that area. Okay. Council, any other questions?
The other thing, if I could add, besides the investment and their commitment, there was a question that previously had come up about incentives. So we vetted that with economic development and assessing. There was a partnership between BASF and the city to apply for grant, Category A grant, which received funding in 2013 in the amount of $300,000 for the 11-mile bridge over the Pernick Creek, and 2015 11-mile road rehab, $700,000. So at the time, BASF had come to the city and said, can you help with the road? And it took the partnership, and it took the fact that 250 jobs and $20 million were being vested at the time that allowed us to get $1 million total in funding for those improvements. So they weren't necessarily incentives that were granted from taxes, but they were grants that we received in partnership with BASF, and that came up during the study session, so I wanted to address that as well.
Okay. Thank you. Council, what say you?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that we approve the proposed lot split for the address of 24600 West 11 Mile Road with an access easement of 25 feet in width, conditioned upon the execution of the split per the survey and easement documents submitted with the request.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilwoman, it's been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilwoman Haynes, to approve the proposed lot split for parcel number 2417451-019. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one public hearing for this evening, and that is a text amendment to update the uses permitted in the B1 neighborhood business, B2 planned business, and B3 general business zoning districts to include executive, administrative, and professional offices.
Thank you, through the chair. This is a zoning map that shows the various B1, B2, and B3 districts throughout the city. In context, there's over 1,000 parcels zoned for commercial or non-residential use. This constitutes approximately 2,500 acres of land. The three business districts make up 397 parcels, averaging 1.4 acre for a total of 544 acres. This district is dominated by multi-tenant strip centers and freestanding small commercial buildings. Due to changes in demand for the amount, size, type, and location of commercial space, some have been struggling with vacancy and underutilization for some time. Vacancies and underutilization can lead to a variety of issues related to illegal occupancy, poor site maintenance, and deferred building maintenance. These buildings represent a latent opportunity to grow small business and entrepreneurship by allowing them to act as incubators for a wider variety of uses. These potential local small businesses are more likely to be women and minority-owned, create opportunity to build generational wealth within the community, and to provide a local economic boost, as every dollar spent at local businesses circulates typically 2 to 4 times more dollars are spent than non-local businesses. This also will provide greater flexibility for potential tenants. Buildings that are fully occupied have positive cash flow, and these types of office uses have been permitted in neighborhood service, regional shopping, and regional center commercial district for years with no apparent negative effects. This is similar to what we did in office service by allowing small-scale retail. We're allowing executive, administrative, and professional offices not to exceed 2,000 square feet, typically 2 storefronts maximum. So an attorney's office, insurance offices, professional services, and so forth could lease out a space in a shopping center that may be vacant. So we're suggesting and recommending adding this language to the B1, the B2, and the B3 districts. And then uses subject to special approval would be greater than 2,000 square feet in B3. And with that, we do have, this is a public hearing, so if you could open the public hearing, then I'd be happy to answer any questions council may have.
All right. So this is a public hearing to amend our zoning ordinance, as you just saw in the presentation, to update the uses permitted in a B1, B2, and B3 zoning district to include executive, administrative, and professional offices. If you wish to speak on this matter, we ask that you come to the lectern, give your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
Pamela Giro, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-832-2799 or 248-346-0439. I'm in favor of updating the zoning, but I think in the past, if I remember, we had a couple of businesses that wanted to go from B1 to B3, but they were not specific in terms of what that business would be under the B3. So if the city could just move a little bit further in terms of making these businesses, when they want a zoning request, be more specific on their request, I think that would be good for the residents, and especially for the people that live around these developments that may not be in support of the zoning rechange. And I think it was pretty much a problem with the B3, if I'm remembering correctly, but don't hold me to it. In updating your zoning, would you also include in there, under each one of those B1, 2, and 3, what businesses would not specifically be allowed there? Because sometimes a petitioner will come, they will request a B3 zoning or a B2, and it's not really permitted, and they're not really specific in terms of the project. So that's my only concern. Thank you so much.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this text amendment? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed. Mr. Crode.
I guess my last comment is that we're trying to promote adaptive reuse of some of the older tired centers, and by having positive cash flow and allowing compatible businesses is only going to help with the maintenance and securing further development.
And then those businesses we don't allow, we don't allow.
Yeah, with regard to the residents' comment under public comment, as you know, if there's a request to rezone to a higher density zoning, if it doesn't have at least 1 acre minimum, that becomes a spot zone. We do have the conditional zoning option where they can prohibit certain uses that may not be favorable if it gets rezoned to that. But we don't, what we look at is when someone makes a request for a business, if it's not specifically listed in that district, we see if it's listed or permitted in another district. There is a process. If we have an interpretation issue, I can seek that from the building official. And if the petitioner disagrees with the building official, they can seek to get an interpretation from the Zoning Board of Appeals. So our first line of defense and interpretation is what's written in the ordinance. My interpretation is it's similar to an existing business, is it identified in a different district, and if I have questions, I would seek counsel from the building official. So there is a process.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions? Yes, Councilman Haynes.
What type of businesses are you encouraging to come there, or what are you looking for?
Well, as I gave an example, a tax preparer, a lawyer, insurance company, those types of executive administrative businesses we had an employment recruiting agency that had to go through a special land use to get into one of these districts. They're not currently permitted in business districts.
Okay.
So we could see those type of executive administrative professional offices being able to rent out a tenant space in a shopping center. You see HR block, income tax and those things.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Once again, I want to applaud the planning department for bringing this forward because, once again, with the changing retail marketplace, we need to be more flexible in, so that we don't encourage leaving spaces vacant. It's all really part of our adaptive reuse of existing structures. So I think this is another tweak to our zoning ordinances that will help us keep spaces rented and productive use. So I applaud that.
Thank you. Mr. Crow, the one question I had, so we were talking about if it's over the 2,000 square feet, then they would require special land use. Would that be done administratively?
No, any special land use would have to come back to council, and it's only 2,000 square feet or greater in the B3 district. So the B1 and the B2, the neighborhood business and planned business, are smaller in scale. So they would have to be 2,000 square feet or less. If someone wanted, by right, they could have up to 2,000 square feet in the B3. If it's larger than that, we would request a special land use and would come to the city council.
Okay. Thank you. Council? I'll entertain a motion if there's one.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Yes, I move that PTZA 25-0002, text amendment to the zoning and planning, chapter 45, to update the uses permitted in the B1 neighborhood business, B2 planned business, and B3 general business zoning districts to include executive, administrative, and professional offices be approved as presented.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilwoman Haynes, to approve PZTA 25-0002 as presented. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, we need to introduce an ordinance number.
The next ordinance number is 1814.
4-4?
1-4.
Okay, Mr. President?
Yes.
I move that ordinance number 1814 be introduced.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilwoman Hoag, to introduce ordinance 1814. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Crode. Next, we move on to the council portion of the meeting. We have one item.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move that we approve the travel expense report for Councilwoman Haynes at the Mackinac Policy Conference, May 27th through the 30th, 2025.
Support.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Hoag, supported by Councilwoman Banks, to approve the travel expense report for Councilwoman Haynes to attend the Mackinac Policy Conference in May of 25 this year. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
You want to do that?
We can wait. All right, Councilman Hoag, do you have any comments this evening?
Yes, I would like to again welcome the beautiful ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, my Soras. And I'd like to especially acknowledge our Council Pro Tem President Hicks, his mom, that's in the audience and here with us. He would have done it if he was here, I'm sure, so I'm going to make up for him. his beautiful mom. Love to see that pink and green, and love to see it every time. So that's all I wanted. And a special welcome back to I'm sure Councilwoman Haynes would do it. I'll wait and let you do it. I'll wait and let you do it, but I was going to welcome a resident, but I'll let Councilwoman Haynes do it. And other than that, I'd like to wish everyone a happy 4th of July. Stay safe. Be careful with the fireworks. To our great firemen in the audience, we thank you. Hopefully you won't be busy this Friday and the weekend. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
Thank you, Councilwoman Hogue, stated everything that I wanted to say. So everyone enjoy the holiday weekend, and please be safe. And also remember that we do have an ordinance, and I believe that the day before and the day after is the only time that you are allowed to shoot off fireworks. So please, please be cautious if you are looking to do it any other day. Also, the city offices will be closed this coming Friday. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Haynes?
Yes, I was trying to get my dates correct about the upcoming bookshelf. Friends of the Southfield Public Library has a monthly book sale, and I believe, I'm not sure the date, so I'll just say it's coming up, usually the first part of the month, but with the holiday, I'm not sure if it's this week or not. So check the website for that information. And I really would like to welcome back my friend and former president of the OVCA, Ms. Gail Mazie. We're glad to see you back. Very happy to see you back. It's so important that we have people in our community that come and support us and really pay attention to details and keep us on our feet as well. It's just such an important thing. And just want to say, too, coming off of a celebration, a large celebration with Juneteenth, and also having the AK sorority be a part of that, it's so important that we remember the importance of Juneteenth, but also the fact that because we live in America, it's important to celebrate the 4th of July as well. Whatever wrongs or rights that are going on in this country, it's because we live here that the wrong was recognized and has been corrected. So I am proud to be an American and also proud to celebrate that 4th of July because this is our country, and this is our state, and this is our city. So have a safe 4th of July and enjoy your family and friends because life is very short. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There's not much left to say. But I did have this pulled up with that Councilwoman Banks mentioned about the rules for fireworks. So the city actually follows the state law. So they are unfortunately going to be allowed more than just the day before. But essentially you can start today through July 4th. Only during the hours of 11 a.m. to 11:45 p.m. Additional requirements: they must meet the Consumer Product Safety Commission standards. That means that all these pop-up shops should only be selling fireworks to people 18 and older. Use of fireworks are prohibited by minors, anyone under 18, as well as anyone who's under the influence of alcohol or controlled substances. State law requires that consumer-grade fireworks can only be ignited from personal property, and it is illegal to ignite fireworks from all public property at all times. This includes streets and sidewalks, parks, school property, church property, or another person's property without their permission. Fire-related incidents can result in property damage, injury, or death, and individuals can be subject to a misdemeanor or felony punishable by imprisonment of not more than 5 years and fines up to $10,000 or both. So please make sure that you are safe. Many pets don't like fireworks. When I was younger, I did. Now I'm older and I like to go to bed, so I don't appreciate them, but I understand them. But just please be careful when you're around them. It's great watching them. It's great family fun, but just please be careful. I'm sure our firefighters will tell you that those are one of the things they do not like to respond to, especially when there's children involved in accidents. There were some comments made earlier in the meeting, and Councilman Haynes just touched on it with, how we should celebrate July 4th. And, unfortunately, we have more and more residents, or the same resident coming up every week and talking about how much division there is in Southfield. And I don't see it. And as I mentioned last week, there's issues in every city. You have one person, you have two people. In a city of 80,000 people, that shouldn't cause a concern for race baiting and racial division amongst the entire city. And I think it's inappropriate to make those comments. We do allow public comment, but I just have to comment because we did have, religious people called out. We had African Americans called out, and I don't think that that's appropriate. We pride ourselves on our diversity, and we just need to understand that, again, a few bad apples shouldn't be cause for concern in the entire city of Southfield. We pride ourselves on getting along in our diversity. Just even look up here. I'm outnumbered by women up here, so it's that's how it is, and there's nothing wrong with it. I appreciate the input from my colleagues. And we should value and understand each other, and we should have more, we should just be getting along. We shouldn't be trying to stir controversy. So thank you for that. Councilwoman Haynes?
I did forget to mention something. I just want to give a shout out to my husband, who is back there, of 41 years, who is usually working very hard, but he's on vacation. We just celebrated 41 years of marriage. So I want to acknowledge my hardworking husband, Houston Haynes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
How could you forget that?
All right.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
All right, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I can't let it pass that with us tonight our local chapter of AKAs. I had the pleasure of attending the associated organization, the Pearls of Service Foundation Scholarship banquet, and 20 students were awarded scholarships that night. And it was a beautiful program, and these ladies did the networking and put the funds together to give these young people a lift-off. And so that is always appreciated and applauded, especially for families that may need the boost for their children. And also, we do the Juneteenth walk every year, and this group is right there with us, and that's also greatly appreciated. Now, I hope you don't mind my next comment, because we also have another sorority in Southfield, and Sunday I attended the Torch of Wisdom's Foundation, and I know we all work together. It's not a competition. But on Sunday, I was able to speak at the Torch of Wisdom's Generational Wealth conference held here in Southfield, and it's about home ownership and the working to make affordable homes for our families. They brought along real estate folks, mortgage people, and did a number of breakout sessions. So these things, again, and these are community contributions, and I appreciate all of you. And I always say, I'm well trained. I have 4 sisters. I don't have any brothers. Women ran our house when I was growing up, so I appreciate the power of women. Thank you.
I forgot to mention, The Southfield will be with Oak Park, Farmington Hills, and Oakland County will be hosting a forum on the dangers of synthetic drugs. We will have the police chief from Southfield, the police chiefs from Farmington Hills and Oak Park, as well as the undersheriff from Oakland County, talking about the dangers of synthetic drugs. So it is a very important topic. This will take place Wednesday, July 23rd at 5:30 here in the Southfield Pavilion. It has been blasted all over social media. There's flyers hanging up, I think, in almost every Southfield business I've seen in the windows, but it's a very worthwhile event. And the other ones that we've had, gun violence as well as domestic abuse have been excellent, and very suicide prevention have been very informative, and I encourage everyone to attend should your schedule permit. Again, that's on Wednesday, July 23rd at 5:30 p.m. Thank you. All right, well, we can talk about it at our next meeting as well. Mr. City Administrator.
Just want to wish everyone a happy new year, be responsible and safe. 249th anniversary of the country.
You said Happy New Year.
Pardon?
You said
Happy New Year. Happy 4th of July.
We'll take it.
Next year's 250th. We've got a lot to look forward, and I love our city clerk, our Councilwoman Banks' outfit, and all festive, and enjoy it and be safe. Thank you.
Well, it's also a happy new financial year, starts tomorrow.
That's what he meant.
I was going to say, that's what you really meant, was
our
our
administrator's
tomorrow.
mind.
All the POs need to be redone, all the exciting things.
Thank you. All right, Madam Attorney.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So 2 things I want to correct, and you may have already said this about the fireworks. If July 5th falls on a Friday or Saturday, there's one more day of fireworks. For Mr. Zorn, it is actually, what did I hear on the radio? Half New Year. So technically he was right, because I did hear that. And then the other thing, again, just to speaking to the city administrator, I did go to training with the Michigan Association of Municipal Attorneys and Government Law Section, and the city of Romulus, even though they're near airport, they had an excellent presentation on zones. And even though local ordinances are preempted by the FAA, it was some good information that I'll be sharing with you all. I'll have to reach out to the police and the fire department also to see where they are, because there are executive orders that are coming out from Washington, D.C. I think they want more drones, but with more drones comes more regulation. It was just a lot of information, and there are federal grants. So I will keep you updated on that. And have a happy 4th of July.
Thank you. Madam Attorney?
Thank you.
Madam City Clerk.
Thank you so much. And again, I must echo how beautiful the ladies of the Pi Tau Mega Chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha is in attendance tonight. There's so many of you that I've dealt with personally in my life who I just look at, who have gone to high school with, elementary school with. My daughters and sons bestowed teacher who took them under her wing. And I have a funny story to kind of tell you about Miss Burden. Miss Burden, she was a very relevant teacher, and when I first got on the county commission, the then county executive, L. Brooks Patterson, had an initiative to teach every child in Oakland County Mandarin Chinese. Miss Burden actually took over 20 middle school students to Mandarin China herself, as a school trip at Bernie Middle School. So this is the type of individual that we have, and individual women that we have in our community that make it great. Came to your Pearls of Service scholarship ball. There was such a spirit of excellence there. The young people spoke and presented themselves in a marvelous way. It just made me so proud, because we hear so many negative things all the time about our young people. So thank you for doing that. And last but not least, on that note, I did want to share with you again that we hire students to work the election at the age of 16 and up, and it's a great it's great exposure for them to work elections and just, you know, feel like they're part of preserving our democracy, which they are. Last but not least, I know you all are gathered today here, and you may be going to dinner afterwards. Dine out in Southfield. Spend your dollars in our city. That's the last thing I have to say for today, and thank you for being here.
All right, thank you. All right, we heard from the city planner. Mr. Building Official, do you have anything you'd like to add? I have nothing to add. All right, we do have one travel expense for our city treasurer.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I move that we approve the travel expense report for Mr. Lowenberg, who attended the Municipal Treasurers Fall Conference, September 22 to 25, 2024.
It has been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilwoman Hoag, to approve the travel expense for Treasurer Lowenberg for attending the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Fall Conference. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have nothing to schedule. Anything else to discuss this evening? Meeting adjourned.